Hi, this is part one of the lesson 7, Old Yeller. Read the first half of the book and also the preview the topic. So go to page 207 on your packet and we're going to read over preview the topic. The topic is responsibility. You may have heard someone described as having a sense of responsibility. This sense has nothing to do with hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, or seeing. Rather, it means that the person is dependable. He or she does what needs to be done, even when tasks are hard or unpleasant. Travis, the narrator of Old Yeller, has a strong sense of responsibility. When his father is away, he takes on all of the chores that needed to keep the family farm going. As you read the story, you will also see that he feels responsible for keeping his brother safe. Okay, so on the title page, page 209, Old Yeller, you could see a picture of a dog. Okay, if you did your picture walk yesterday, you would see the pictures of the dogs and the animals. Our essential question is how can dangerous situations bring people closer together? Okay, think about that. How can a dangerous situation bring people closer together? Even what's going on right now, I know everyone's kind of isolated from each other, but this is a dangerous situation and people are coming not physically closer together, but people are pitching in and helping each other out, and it's really nice to see. All the medical workers are coming from different states to help, and it does bring people closer. Okay, so that's just came to mind when I was looking at the essential question: how can dangerous situations bring people closer together? Okay, all right, let's start on page 210. It's the late 1860s. Travis lived with his family on the Texas frontier. When Papa leaves home to drive their cattle to market in Kansas, Travis must take over Papa's responsibilities. All goes well until a stray yellow dog shows up. Travis's younger brother, little Arliss, loves the dog, but Travis thinks the mangy animal is nothing but a meat-stealing rascal. Then one day, something happens that changes Travis's feelings about the dog forever. Swinging that chopping axe was sure hard work. The sweat poured off of me. My back muscles ached. The axe got so heavy I could hardly swing it. My breath got harder and harder to breathe. An hour before sundown, I was worn down to a nub. It seemed like I couldn't hit another lick. Papa could have lasted till past sundown, but I didn't see how I could. I shouldered my axe and started towards the cabin, trying to think up some excuse to tell Mama to keep her from knowing I was played clear out. That's when I heard little Arliss scream. Well, little Arliss was a screamer by nature. He'd scream when he was happy and scream when he was mad, and a lot of times he'd scream just to hear himself make a noise. Generally, we paid no more mind to his screaming than we did to the gobble of a wild turkey. But this time was different. The second I heard his screaming, I felt my heart flop clear over. This time I knew little Arliss was in real trouble. I tore up the trail leading towards the cabin. A minute before, I'd been so tired with my rail splitting that I couldn't have struck a trot. But now I raced all through the tall trees that in the creek bottom, covering ground like a scared wolf. Because his adrenaline's kicking in. Even though he thought he was tired, he couldn't chop any more wood, was what he was saying in the first page. I know he used some terms that were strange there, but he meant basically he was spent, he was tired, he had no energy left. His adrenaline kicked in when he found out his little brother was in trouble, okay? Little Arliss's second scream when it came was louder and shriller and more frantic sounding than the first. Mixed with it was a whimpering cry that I knew did not come from him. It was a sound I'd heard before and seemed like I ought to know what it was, but right then I couldn't place it. Then, from way off to one side came a sound that I would have recognized anywhere. It was the coughing roar of a charging bear. I just heard it once in my life. That was the time Mama had shot and wounded a hog-killing bear, and Papa had to finish it off with a knife to keep it from getting at her. My heart went to pushing up into my throat, nearly choking off my wind. I strained for every lick of speed I could get out of my running legs. I didn't know what sort of fix little Arliss had gotten himself into, but I knew it had to do with a mad bear, which was enough. The way the late sun slanted through the trees had the trail all cross-banded with streaks of bright light and dark shade. I ran through these bright and dark patches so fast the changing light nearly blinded me. Then suddenly, I raced out into the open where I could see ahead, and what I saw sent a chill clear through the marrow of my bones. There was little Arliss down in that spring hole again. He was lying half in and half out of the water, holding on to the hind leg of a little black bear cub smaller than a small coon. The bear cub was out of the bank, whimpering and crying and clawing the rocks with all three other of his feet, trying to pull away. But little Arliss was holding on to him for all he was worth, scared now and screaming off of his head off, too scared to let go. How the bear cub ever came to prowl close enough for little Arliss to grab him, I don't know. And why he didn't turn on him and bite loose, I couldn't figure that out either, unless he was like little Arliss, too scared to think. But all that didn't matter now. What mattered was the bear's club's mama. She'd heard the cries of her baby and was coming to save him. She was coming so fast that she had the brush popping and the breaking as she crashed through and over it. I could see her black, heavy figure piling down the slant of the far side of Birdsong Creek. She was roaring mad and ready to kill. And worst of all, I could see that I'd never get there in time. Mama couldn't either. She'd heard Arliss too. And here she came from the cabin, running down the slant towards the spring, screaming at Arliss, telling him to turn the bear cub loose. But little Arliss wouldn't do it. All he would do was hang on with that hind leg and let out one shrill shriek after another, as fast as he could suck in a breath. Now the she-bear was charging across the shallows in the creek. She was knocking the sheets of water high in the bright sun, charging with her fur up and her long teeth bared, filling the canyon with that awful coughing roar. And no matter how fast Mama ran or how fast I ran, the bear was going to get there first. Okay, we're going to stop there. That's halfway through. Pretty suspenseful. I can't wait to find out what happens. Okay, thanks for watching.